Hi, Judy.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
How about you?
Good. Doing good.
Did you get both your COVIDs yet?
Yes, I did. How about you?
I'm,
How about you?
I'm waiting till I think I get the second one on the 27th, is it? No, the 23rd.
You sure?
Yeah. Now, when you had your second one, did it get you a little bit sick?
Um, I got a little of a headache and just feeling a little achy. Yeah, achy.
Yeah.
My arm is just now turning, the redness went away from it and it was swollen.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's everybody says the second one, but some people have, like you, not much of anything.
Right.
And when my daughter Jolene, you know Jolene,
Right.
she had a little bit of a headache and just didn't feel that good the second day.
Right.
But then other people are real sick.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that I'll just be mildly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That night and that day after. So I cleared myself. I didn't set myself up for anything just in case, except a commission meeting that's really important. So I sure hope I can go to that.
Yeah.
On Zoom.
Yeah.
But other than that, so anything new?
No, nothing new. Samantha works for Tesla.
Tesla.
Right. She's doing the solar system for Tesla.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's such a sweet girl. Hi, Doreen.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Pardon?
How are you?
I'm fine. Just had a little reaction from the vaccination, but other than that, I'm fine. Hank is pretty fatigued, but that happened with the first vaccination. So in 4 or 5 days, he'll be better.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah.
So how are you, Judy?
Good. Good. Got my second shot. I didn't have too much of a reaction. A little achy, headache. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, I took a nap. Yeah.
Well, a nap is good either way. I'm always up for a nap.
Oh, well, I'm not a napper, so that's unusual. So anyway, but I'm fine today.
Sometimes I can't make it to 9 o'clock at night if I can tell if I'm going to need a nap by 2 o'clock. I can tell.
Oh.
If I don't go ahead and take it, then I'm going to have a heck of a time staying awake until 9 o'clock. How about you, Jamie?
All good here.
All good over there? Did you get your COVID vaccines? Did you get to the second one yet?
Tom has had both of them, but I'm not up yet. In the county that I live, I'm not up yet.
Well, pretty soon. They've already in Alaska and one other state, they made it available to everybody over 16. So it'll just be a minute.
I'm signed up at several different places, but still haven't been contacted.
I was so surprised and excited when they called me because I had an appointment that Friday, but I had to go to Palo Alto, Stanford. And then Tuesday, this must have been the county, called and said, "Can you be here in 15 minutes?" And I said, "Well, yes." I made it.
Welcome, Julie, and welcome, Rudi.
Doreen, can I just donate to the Boys and Girls Club, send you a Venmo?
Sure.
Instead of me doing the, what's your Venmo?
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Oh, you don't have Venmo? Okay. I'll just send a check. I'll just mail it to you.
Okay, that's
I know-
great. I'll deliver it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Should be a very good dinner this time. Really good.
I just don't know if we're gonna get. It's on a Wednesday, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's So we'll just donate.
Well, checks are appreciated.
That's the least we can all do.
Yeah.
Welcome, Julie, and welcome, Rudi.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to put a face to a name, Jamie.
Feel the same way. Thank you. Thank you. We're just going to give members maybe 5 or 6 minutes to kind of log on.
Find the link.
So on my screen, you show up next to Doreen Covell. Doreen was fortunate enough to hear you speak for the Richmond Rotary Club.
Oh, really? Well, she's going to get. She'll be able to tell you what we told them that we're not including today because we had a little more time there.
Well, you can take the extra time if you need it, but I'm so looking forward to your presentation.
So am I.
It's nice to be able to do it with you. When you before COVID, when you met, where did you meet?
We would meet for lunch at Pear Street Bistro in Pinole, and then on alternating weeks, we would meet for dinner at La Familia Italian Restaurant.
Where is that?
It's on San Pablo Avenue, kind of between the downtown Pinole and the city limit line at San Pablo.
Huh.
So, kind of in the county area.
Okay. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah. It's interesting to think that we're now coming up on 1 year's time since we were together face to face. And it's
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, that's a good word for it. That's a nice word for it.
We have a on our wall, we at the door, we started a hostage chart, and we put down, day one. And so the first piece of paper has 3 columns on it. And Rudi's birthday is in the middle of May. And he said, well, by the middle of May, we'll be done with this. So now we have every single part of the wall is filled up. And the last piece of paper will make it to a year. But I don't know if when we finish with that piece of paper with the lockdown, will be over. Amazing.
Costa County is one of the slower counties to move into the next tier.
Yeah.
I've been doing in my notes on my cell phone, kind of a little bit of a diary during the year. Every once in a while, I'll update. I'm due to update now. It looks like I've got so excited this week that I got very emotional, that it looks like hope. And the last 2 nights while Joe and I are watching TV shows, I just cry my eyes out over everything. It's just because I'm so emotional. He goes, honey, I'm going to have to take you off of these shows, like a New Amsterdam or whatever. Everything's just making me emotional now.
We did a blog that we started the day of the lockdown, and every day we did another blog, and we got lots of people responding. And then the day of George Floyd's murder, we decided that that was the time to stop because
ours was a kind of a lighthearted blog, and that was not the time to be lighthearted.
Didn't seem to work anymore, so that was the end of the blog.
But about a week ago, I Googled myself, and I found references to that blog on Google.
You should see how desperate we're getting if you have to Google yourself.
I have a funny Google Maps story to share with everybody before we get started. My niece was using Google Maps to identify where my parents had their solar panels. And as luck would have it, when the Google driver was driving by my parents' house in Hercules, my dad in his bathrobe was standing at the front door with the door open, staring at the Google car. So Nicole is on Google Maps and she's looking at these solar panels, and then she sees the front of the house and she's like, what? So she zooms it in, and there's my dad standing in his bathrobe. So Rudi, as you were saying, Google exposes all kinds of things.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope she did a screenshot of that and always has it.
She did, and shared it with all of us, which is how we knew about it. But oh
That's
my goodness.
awesome.
I haven't talked to him about it, but I can't wait to do that. So I think we are going to get started, if everybody's okay with that, just for the sake of giving Rudi and Julie a little extra time. So here we are. Welcome to Pinole Rotary Zoom edition 365 or something to that effect. Anyway, so I have the flag. You're welcome to put yourself on mute to say the Pledge of Allegiance, or just simply say the Pledge of Allegiance. So here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doreen, did you want to do the thought for the day, or would you like me to? I'll do it. It sounds like you didn't get my email.
Okay.
Judging by the expression on your face. Okay, so in honor of last month's Black History Month and this month's Women's History Month, I've selected a quote from Harriet Tubman. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. So keep on dreaming, Pinole Rotarians. Welcome, Jill. Glad to see you. I'm very excited to introduce our speakers today. Doreen highly recommended Julie Firestone and Rudi Raab, who she was able to hear speak at Richmond Rotary. Rudi and Julie are longtime residents of Richmond. They have published a book called The Stumbling Stone, which is a novel based on their true life story. Rudi is a retired Berkeley police officer, and Julie was a reporter for a number of local newspapers. Their book is particularly timely now. It's about an unlikely romance, reconciliation, and the need to speak the truth. It's a great pleasure to welcome Julie and Rudi. Take it away.
So nice to be here, and thank you for inviting us. So talking about our book, as she said today, is particularly timely, and as we tell you the story, you'll probably see why. So for the 2 decades that we worked on the book, we called the book Acts of Reconciliation, and if we have time, we'll explain to you why we suddenly changed it at the very end. But it is a book about people who have the courage to face up to tyranny and also to maybe overcome their prejudices. So I do want to give you a COVID warning here. Since we worked on the book for 2 decades, some of the pictures that we're going to show you show us looking quite a bit younger than we are now. And I swear that the woman in the pictures, even though she doesn't look like me, I now have post-COVID hair, is me. So just take my word for it.
So our novel, Stumbling Stone, is fiction to some extent, but it is based on a lot of facts, namely our story.
Okay, hang on one second. Can I share? Can I share the screen now? Okay, good, because we do have very cool pictures. We think they're cool. So here we go. Okay, come on.
Where's the first picture?
Just a minute. There we go. Okay. So that's the book. Okay.
So
the book is fiction. We are the basis.
We are.
Oh no,
right.
that's me. Okay. We started out on.
Yeah, we started out on opposite sides. On the left side is a picture of Julie's great-grandfather, still in the Eastern European village. And on the right side is a picture of my grandfather, who was also a cop in Imperial Germany before World War One. That is him in his uniform.
Okay, so we are the basis for our main characters, Sarah Stern and Carl Schmidt. And I'm Julie. I'm Jewish. I was born in the Bronx in 1944, and my parents, who you see here, were Eastern European immigrants who came to this country in the early 1900s as children. And when I was growing up, and this is me in the Bronx, I knew that we would never go to Germany. We would not buy German products like Volkswagens, and that I grew up basically believing that all Germans were Nazis.
So I'm Rudi, and I was born 8 days after World War II ended in Europe. My father had been a high-ranking Nazi, and his immediate superior was tried in Nuremberg at the War Crimes Tribunal. Do you know? My parents were introduced to each other by the Nazi Party. They had a perfect Nazi wedding and produced then the perfect Aryan children. I grew up surrounded by silence. When my father's old friends from the Nazi era visited, my mother would usher us children out of the room. We were given the message that we were not to ask any question of who did what during the Nazi times. When we were in high school, in our history lessons, we were shown the photographs taken during the liberation of the concentration camps, and we saw the skeletons standing behind the barbed wire fences and the dead stacked like cordwood. We were taught as Germans we carried guilt for this. Since my generation was born after these atrocities, we were told that we had collective guilt. And then I'd go home for lunch, and there would be my father presiding at the table. And I knew that he was still a Nazi, but since he was my father, I was required to obey him. When I was 21 years old, I left my family and I emigrated to America. I went to UC Berkeley as a student and ended up earning a PhD in medieval German literature. And that, of course, qualified me perfectly to become a Berkeley police officer.
Okay, so I met Rudi in 1989 when I was a reporter and he was a cop. There he is. And I interviewed him for a story that I was doing, and then we started dating. But I could not believe that I was going out with a cop, never mind a German who looked to me like what I thought a Hitler Youth leader or the SS probably looked like. But anyway, I continued to date him.
Early in our relationship, Julie did not ask me what my astrological sign was, whether I liked romantic walks at sunset on the beach, or whether I liked gourmet dinners. She asked me almost immediately what my father did during World War II, and I told her I did not know, which was mostly true. But as I found out, that kind of an answer rarely stopped her from digging, and digging she does really well.
So as our romance developed, here we are as a couple, incongruous as it may seem, people kept telling us how remarkable our story was and that we should write a book or a story or something. And in fact, we did start this project pretty early on. It started out as a spy novel, and then it morphed into a cop story. And then we mostly sat around while we worked our full-time, pretty demanding jobs. So a strange aspect to our stories was in 1948, my father, who was a lawyer and an immigration expert who worked for the US government, was transferred to Germany after the war to help settle the concentration camp survivors and other displaced people. And his job, and there he is at work, was to oversee the resettlement of people who had lost their homes and their countries because of the Nazis. And this is sort of a pre-computer picture of him tracking where people were emigrating to: New York, Boston, New Orleans, other places like that. So there we were living in Germany.
So, and the strange part of my history was that my father's brother my uncle Gerhard, was never talked about. His name, if his name came up, then we were told that he was a bad apple, that he probably was gay, and most likely a communist. Usually it was that my mother told us that. Later on, we found out that my mother had actually never met him. He was gone by the time my parents married.
So what Rudi did tell me as I continued to question him about his family history, and since I was a reporter, I continued regularly to question him, was that he did remember that when he was 11 years old and at his grandfather's house in Leipzig, Germany, he found a box, a shoebox, kind of hidden away with some postcards in it. And here's an example of one of the postcards. And it was signed by his uncle Gerhard, who, as he just said, nobody really ever talked about. And he had no idea why Gerhard would be writing
on the stationery
from a concentration camp. So that mystery made it better for me to be dating a German cop whose father was a high-ranking Nazi, because at least he had one relative who had been a victim of the Nazis, and that meant that not everybody in his family was a perpetrator.
So as our romance developed, and Julie kept pressing for answers about what happened to Gerhard and what my father actually had done during the war, we decided to go to Germany right after the fall of the Berlin Wall. That's a long time ago now. In part so that I could show Julie something positive about this country that she feared, and in part to interview as many people in Germany as possible. So after visiting my parents...
And let me just say one thing, since I don't speak German, interviewing meant that I asked questions and he translated them.
And then came the answer, and I translated that too. So in the morning when I was taking my shower, I had my thoughts, and I was translating my thoughts from German to English and English to German until I said, what am I doing here? So after visiting my parents and asking many questions, we set off to visit East Germany, and especially Leipzig, where my father still owned the family home. We found out many things about my uncle, and a third of the book is telling his story.
Which we're mostly not going to talk a lot about today. And in the beginning, when we used to do these book events, because we wanted people to read the book, we didn't say anything about Rudi's uncle, but gradually we started talking more about him. And then when we did a book tour in Germany, we really talked about him some more. And if we have time, we'll get into that. So here's a remarkable coincidence about our story. In 1951, remember, my father was working to resettle concentration camp survivors. We actually lived about 8 miles apart in the same city. So me as part of the occupation forces and Rudi as the occupied. And this is the identification card. That's my father, and the Allied High Commission identification card from Hamburg. So we lived in this house that the Allies had taken over, owned by a shipbuilder. We had moved to Germany from a 2-bedroom apartment in the Upper Bronx, which my mother, father, sister, and I and my aunt lived in.
5 people.
And my father commuted on the subway. So here we are now in this unbelievable 40-room shipbuilder's house. I remember a duck pond and a car that was issued to us by the Allied High Commission with a chauffeur. So that was a far cry from the Bronx apartment.
So, take a look at these toys that we have here. This is a puppet show, and there is the equivalent.
It's sort of miniature version of it. So here's the story about these 2 things.
They are obviously hand-carved, and mine was bought in the Alsterhaus, which is a famous department store in Hamburg. And so I got a whole set of them. And when Julie and I first got to know each other, well, she saw them because I kept them. Then she showed me hers, also handmade, same fabric, same style, but hers is the smaller version.
Isn't that amazing? So, the interesting thing, you tell the story about how you got it, because, remember, it's post-war,
we had no money. So what we did is on some Sundays, we went to Hamburg to do window shopping. That to just see what the potential was, what we could have if we had any money. So behind the counter in the children's department, I saw the puppets hanging on the wall.
These.
And I tried to talk my mother into getting me maybe one, and maybe both my sisters, 1, 2. Then we had 3, and maybe we could start an elementary puppet show. And I was told, no, we don't have the money. And so I said, okay. Christmas rolled around, and there were 5 puppets. Well, I kept them. And
schlepped them to the United States with him when he moved here.
And then, Julie was very prejudiced against Germans. And the more divides us, the more we dug out, we found out we have lots of stuff in common, memories and so forth. Anyway.
Not just the puppets, of course, but they became sort of symbolic.
So in closing, we would like to explain the title of our book. We called it first Acts of Reconciliation. And Julie, we were told to have a website a year before the book comes out. And every time she tried to register the website and she typed it in, she misspelled it.
Reconciliation. I kept leaving out vowels and things. It was very frustrating. And I said, this is ridiculous. I can't even spell the name of our book.
And so I said, well, we don't have to call it that.
And he said he had never really liked that name anyway.
I said, how about...
Sorry, this is a slide I forgot to show you. That's us inside the shipbuilder's house with the maid. Go ahead.
Okay, so in Germany, a artist... Well, that's a typical German sidewalk. They don't use concrete like we do here. They put little pieces of granite in there in nice, intricate patterns. So the artist decided to commemorate the victims of the Holocaust. So in front of the houses where they had lived, he put in little bronze plaques with their name, date of birth, and probably the date of murder and where they had been abducted to. So here is the Hartzop family, Paula, Hugo, and Eva, and they all went to Auschwitz, and that was the end of them. So there are now thousands of them all over Western Europe, and some people don't like them. But in any event, it's a stumbling stone. It's inconvenient to be reminded of the Holocaust, but these people are not forgotten. And so our book is, to a third of it, literary stumbling stone to commemorate an unknown victim of the Nazis, namely my uncle.
So one last piece here, which is that when I was a reporter, and this was, I don't know, maybe 1991 or something, my editor assigned me to cover a story of a program called Acts of Reconciliation. And it was conducted by a drama therapist named Armand Volkas. And my editor wanted me to do an advanced story before the workshop and then go to the workshop and write about it afterwards. So I wrote the advanced story.
The workshop brought children of Nazis and children of Holocaust victims or survivors together.
Yes. So I interviewed Armand Volkas, and then I said, well, my editor wants me to come to the workshop and then write about it. And he said, well, it's a therapy group. You can't just come and sit there and take notes. So he said, were your parents Holocaust survivors? And I said, well, they were immigrants, but they came before the Holocaust. I was a freelance journalist. I needed every story I could get. So I said, well, my partner, and by this, Rudi and I had only been in a relationship for maybe a year. I said, my partner's father was a high-ranking Nazi who's still alive. He said, you can come if you bring him. So...
I resisted the idea, and
that's an understatement.
Because I'm not into emotional group hugs and kumbaya events. So I didn't want to do this. But then, as I said, Julie keeps digging, and she kept on pushing until I finally agreed to come. The whole thing I thought out, and I found out that the victim of the children of the victims very much felt like the children of the Nazis. Both of us had our history foisted on us against our will and without us doing anything. So,
and grew up with a lot of silence surrounding them about what actually happened, because it turned out that the children of the Holocaust survivors didn't hear much from their parents either.
So at the end, I was so taken by the process and what resulted from it, that I actually, as a cop, did not write a ticket, but I wrote a poem. And the poem is like this. We are the children of the Holocaust.
We are both Germans and Jews. We are the children of the victims. We are the children of the oppressors. We started out on opposite sides, but the memory of the Holocaust will join us forever. We shall never let the victims be forgotten, for if we do, we will forget that the perpetrator can be in all of us. So, we do have a website called Stumbling-Stone. We have lots more photos and stories. We have things on the website that didn't end up in the book, but that we thought were worth reading, including an incredible encounter that we actually had with skinheads at Buchenwald when we went there. And then we also have on the website a series of blogs that we wrote every day when we did a book tour in Germany after Rudi translated the book into German. So definitely go visit the website. The book is available. You can have an independent bookstore order it for you, or you can order it on Amazon, and you'll find out more about Rudi's uncle if you're interested. So we're happy to ask. You can either chat in your questions, I think, or you can ask questions or make comments. We'd love to hear what you've got to say. And I'm going to stop sharing now, I think, so we can see you. Okay.
Absolutely remarkable. Yvette, would you like to take yourself off mute and ask your question?
Yes. Julie, I'm a Bronx native, so I was curious as to what part of the Bronx you...
Yeah, I see that in the chat box. Well, I was, so the 2-bedroom apartment that we lived in was in the Upper Bronx, right across the street from PS 95, which I went to, right near Van Cortlandt Park.
Right on time.
And when I was in high school, I went to Bronx Science, which is
okay. The elite.
And my aunt lived right off.
Yeah, my after effects are gone, but Papa still.
Somebody isn't
Yeah,
muted
sure.
who should be. Where did you live?
I lived in the South Bronx. I went to Walton High School.
About 4 or 5 days to get back to where he was. So it's just.
I think it's Doreen who needs to mute herself. Okay. Other comments or questions or,
Yes.
Yeah, Jill.
Question: as someone who is married to a Jewish man, I'm just curious about how your family, and me not being Jewish myself, the family was not the most thrilled when we first started dating. I was wondering how both of your families reacted when you guys started dating. Not the most typical.
Well,
That's a great question. And something every year we go to El Cerrito High. They have a class called World War II. And we do pretty much what we just did here, except we tried it out with them for a number of years before we actually finished writing the book. So they, they're teenagers. So they say, wow, what did your parents think about this?
Right. So my father reacted quite well. It appeared to be very positive. For him, being interviewed by Julie was, I think, an intellectual fencing match. Which in the book, my parents give each other the silent treatment. and they lived in the same house. In reality, though, they were happily divorced and lived in different towns. But for convenience sakes, that's part of the fiction. We brought them together. Now,
Tell about Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So when we went to Germany the first time, both of his parents were still alive.
right.
And
So Julie says, you have to write to them and tell them that I'm Jewish. And I said, well, you know what?
Doesn't
It has
matter.
nothing to do with it. And, we're just people. We live together. And nah,
I
don't
said,
think that's...
I'm not going unless you write to them beforehand.
So I thought about this. And then I wrote the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner Tonight letter. Okay. You may remember the movie.
So they were very gracious in their own way, each in their own way. And Rudy's right. We audio taped his father's. We were there for like 24 hours. He did not have a good relationship with his father. The whole discussion was a 24-hour interview practically. We still have the tape. We were completely paranoid, and our paranoia was worsened by the fact that after we got back to Rudy's mother's house, his father actually called. She had not called her since they were divorced, and said, I know that your girlfriend or your wife, we weren't married at that point, is a journalist. And
if this a story and what I said appears in the American press, that would be suicide.
So I said, oh my God, he's an old man. Does he mean he'd be killed? And Rudy said, no, I think he's talking about you.
So she said, well, maybe you misunderstood him. I said, no, he left it open whose suicide it was. And my father was a very, very smart man and an intellectual, very, very educated. And I'm sure that every word that he says was thought out. So he left it open.
And as far as my family is concerned, by the time I met Rudy, I had already been married twice, both times to non-Jewish men.
They were used to it.
Yeah, and everybody of my generation in our family had married non-Jews, so I think they were happy to know he was gainfully employed. Okay, other questions or comments?
I cannot wait to read your book.
Don, you were waving your hand. What?
Yes. Thank you so much for this. I find this just absolutely fascinating. I don't even believe I've ever actually sat in on a conversation with a person who discusses his parents' Nazis background. I mean, that's just amazing.
It took 30 years.
Yeah, I can imagine. If you don't mind me asking, I mean, was Gerhard in a concentration camp due to his politics?
Yes.
Okay.
We think.
Gerhard was a loner, and he was a hardhead, and he didn't go along with any program, no matter what the program was. And the Nazis were into doing everything together, marching together, singing together, and oppressing people together. So that was a perfect storm. He was not good for life.
So I just want to say two things. First of all, Jamila has chatted something pretty profound into the chat box. I have to say, you've got your own book there, girl. That's a pretty amazing story. So let me just say something about the German reaction. So when we first went to Germany, I asked everybody that we came across, or rather Rudi asked, but I asked, what did you know about the war? What did you do during the war? What did your family do during the war? And pretty much the reaction we got was, war?
Which war?
Oh, we had nothing to do with the war.
No.
So when we went back in 2018 with the German book, Der Stobelstein, and did a book tour for 4 weeks, it was like being in a different world. People came out of the woodwork to tell us about what their family had done during the war, what blood they had on their hands, documents they found in the attic. It was astonishing. And I think we sold more books there than we did here. And certainly got, Jamila says she got the best reception. We got a better reception in some ways in Germany to this book. I mean, the time was right. There was something about the timing that just worked. And our friend Elizabeth Rosner, who wrote a fantastic book called The Survivor Cafe, she says that the Germans have done an amazing job of not covering up history, but embracing the scars of history and really owning what they did and what, you know, what they didn't do, what they did and didn't do.
Actually, what I find interesting is that in the West, we were taught about this, and we had to work up our history and you know, confess our history. While in East Germany, they said no. The government says we are not the successor of the Nazi regime. We are a totally new country, and they denied everything.
Which is where Rudi was when I met him.
So then, now the wall came down, and the Germans started mixing, and the West Germans fessed up to it, and the East Germans denied it. And all the right-wing extremism in Germany comes out of the former East German state. And that's where it all grew out. And that's interesting. You have to fess up to your history. So when we are confronting slavery and here in the United States, and we are denying it and do Jim Crow things, then we will learn nothing. So we have to embrace our full history.
Okay, I just want to do a time check. It's 1:03. I don't know, Jamie, are you the gatekeeper? Are we out of time now?
A very loose gate. So if there's anybody else that has, the dialogue is fascinating to me. So raise your hand and keep on going if you and Rudi have the time.
Oh, we're fine. I mean, we have no place to go.
I have a question on your book. Has it have you done it through Audible?
You know, we haven't. We looked into it. I can't even remember. You know, it's been a while. I can't remember why we decided against it. I think because when we first published it, Audible wasn't really happening the way it is. And, you know, when we published the book, we said, okay, we'll give this a year and then we'll go back to, you know, our normal life. And that was in 2015. And, you know, it still seems to be a story people want to hear. So maybe we'll reconsider that, particularly because Rudi's starting to get to a point where he can't read print very well, and he may have more sympathy for the Audible part. Good. Thank you for bringing that up. More comments or questions?
If not, we thank you very much for your attention, and we thank you for having us talk to you.
And if you read the book and you want us to come back and chat with you about it, we'd be happy to do that. So
turn it into a book club. That would be terrific.
Do you have a book club?
No, but we can after we all read your book.
Yeah,
we should think about something like that because lots of readers on the screen. But thank you both so very much for sharing your story.
Oh, you're welcome. Nice to see you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Dawn, I think you summed it up when you never had a screen where we got to sit and hear personal stories like that. Speaking of personal stories, Miss Jill, do you want to share with everybody what you've been doing the last few weekends?
Yeah, you guys, I just finished all my pets and pre-pets and all of that training. I survived a weekend on the couch. And I wanted to say, first of all, thank you. I think Jamie and Heidi created a nice little poster. I think that's what she called it, of all your warm wishes and thoughts. And they showed that at the end. So it was so nice. I love you guys. That was great. So thank you all for all your warm thoughts. And hopefully I won't let you down next year.
Ever.
But yeah, it was great. It was all virtual. You know, a few technical glitches here and there. So I don't know if it was quite the same that the rest of the past presidents have gone through. There was a bunch of, every day we had like a big group session with like the 500 plus people. And then we were supposed to break out into little mini groups, but that never happened. So we just kind of all stayed together in one large group and just kind of jotted down ideas on our own. But yeah, it was great. I'm feeling inspired, and hopefully with everyone's help, I'll take off in July and just keep, I have tough shoes to follow with Maya. So well, hopefully it'll make it work.
Those of you that don't know, PET stands for President-elect Training Seminar. And so our district hosts, it's typically a 2.5-day event in San Jose. And for the second year in a row, Maya, is that second year that they've been online? I guess it would be second year. It's a very inspirational experience. I meet a lot of nice people with great ideas. And is that Mason?
Last year, sorry. Last year it was in person, actually. I think it was in February. So
okay.
Sorry.
That was perfect timing, actually. So anyway, Jill, thank you. We're very, very much looking forward to your leadership. So thank you. Debbie, there you are, Deb. Do you want to talk about the Dave Clark Cabaret?
Well, I would actually love to. Thank you. It's coming up, and it's a little complicated. I found. I hope everybody understood how to maneuver around in the website and Facebook. When you buy a ticket, you can pay any amount to go to the show, and you can watch it at any time. But if you buy your ticket by this Sunday morning, you will also get 25 tickets that will be distributed into all those raffle prizes that we have still. And I think that makes it more clear. And it can be any amount. It could be $25, it could be $10, it could be $150. It could be whatever you want it to be. It will still be 25 tickets, because we have to do it differently to stay within the law on a raffle that's online. So I hope it's looking like it's going to be not very well attended so far, but you never know. I don't know what else to tell you, except for also in what I sent out is a way to bid through Facebook posts on the silent auction items. And that will go all the way through Saturday, the 20th. It'll go through that evening while we're watching it. You can watch it earlier or later, because bits and pieces will be filmed and put together. And it's over my pay grade to explain how that happens. So I hope you guys can come, or some of you. And if you want to see the baskets live, come on over. I'll show them to you. They're very nice. They have very nice things in them. Some of you donated those things last year. And so would love to show them to you. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, and some of them I don't think they explain. Yeah, these do a pretty good job of explaining what's in them. You click on one, you donate now to go to any amount to go to the show. And also you'll get 25 tickets up there at the top. And then you'll pick up your prize if you're the winner here. We have 2 separate dates set up for prize pickup. Jamie, can you take it over to there we go, to the silent auction. There's the Amish garden wagon. It's got $25 Lowe's gift card, garden lights, and a lantern. Okay, it's moving too fast. Okay, and there's also, the Amish garden wagon. We're still in raffles. Okay.
Yeah, I can't find, where's the silent auction, Debbie?
Well, I think if you go on to donate now, or can you scroll up a sec? Is that all the way? Okay. Go up to that donate now and let's see where that takes us. No. Okay. Back out of that. Okay, go to Pinole Players, where you can click on the link there. Okay, now come down. Down, down, down.
Here we
Get back okay, there you go, silent auction. Okay, here we go. So we got Whimsicality and Scandia and Jelly Belly. You got a Jelly Belly candy jar with Jelly Belly. You got $300 in gift cards to the Whimsy store for tweens, babies, and children. It's gifts, just awesome. And then that one next to it, if you could go back up, that is mainly from the Dermatology Associates of the Bay Area. It is $300 in Botox injections given by my dermatologist in a very nice place in Hercules. And there's some trial size items there and some beautiful jewelry included. And then if you'll just go down a little more, Garden of Gems, Garden of Glory, Glamorous Gems, $250 gift certificate. And if you could just come by and see that necklace in person, I don't want to win anything, but I may have to bid on that. I bid on a few things just to get people going. But anyways, and then next to it, we have the $233 in gift certificates for Kinder's Meat. So you can buy a box of steaks, anything you want. There's all sorts of different steak boxes or fit for a king, different types of things. And with it, of course, you get some sauce and you also get a Weber grill. So, and this tells you how to bid. It'll take you to Facebook and that's where you'll bid on the items. You'll see it over to the right. Let's see. Boy, this is awesome. Oh, okay. So click on the meat packages there. Okay. And if you'll see over here, see where it says 6 shares? Oops.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out, since this is a really helpful graphic on how to actually bid.
Just go back where you were and I'll show you. Okay. See where it says, okay. See where it says, click on the meat packages. Okay. And then over there, see the 11 comments on the right?
Yeah.
And then that's where everybody was bidding.
Oh.
See, I tried doing a bid just to get people going. Of course, if Joe, in fact, that's not me, that's Joe. Joe did that. He may have done it because he wants it. So it's a little bit confusing, but thank you so much for walking us through that. Anna, that was just wonderful.
Yeah, that's a really clever way to do a silent auction.
Well, it's new to us, so we're just excited that next year we'll be all back to normal, hopefully, and we'll actually have a live cabaret and have all the fun that we normally have, especially with the Rotary Club there. And yeah, I hope you guys are going to donate. You'll get the tickets. You got to do it by this Sunday. Patty and I are going to meet Sunday and pull the raffle winners, and then we're going to announce it that night.
Debbie, thank you very much for that. Anna, thanks so much for that share screen. That was very helpful.
That was awesome.
We wish you luck, Debbie. And then the next week on March 27th, we have a double header that actually plays very well together. The Salesian Boys and Girls Club will have their next drive-up dinner, prime rib. So go pick up your dinner and then join the Pinole for Fair Government's town hall meeting. You don't even have to cook that night. Pick up your dinner, go home. So Doreen, is there anything else you would like to add about the dinner? Take yourself off mute.
Sorry, I muted you for a second, Doreen, because there was some sound in the background.
I think it's going to be a very exceptional dinner. So the prime rib should be wonderful. So I hope people will buy. One dinner, at least for Hank and me, serves both of us. We always buy 2, so we have 4 days of food, which is kind of exciting. So
then the Pinole for Fair Government Town Hall meeting. Yvette, would you like to give a few details on your speaker?
Yeah, you hear me? Okay. So we have a series of town halls that we're sponsoring with the Pinole officials. And the first one is on March 24th with the fire chief, Chris Wincop. And that's important because there's a fire study report that just came out, and people should be able to understand what it means and what options might be available. So that's March 24th. And then the following ones are, we can send you the links, but the following one is April 14th with the Pinole City Manager, May 19th with Pinole Councilor Anthony Tave, June 16th with Pinole Councilor Maureen Toms, July 21st with Pinole Mayor Norma Martinez Rubin, August 18th with Pinole Police Chief Neil Gang, September 15th with Pinole Councilor Devin Murphy, and October 20th with Pinole Mayor Pro Tem Vincent Salimi. So these 8 virtual town halls will be free and open to the public, and they will be moderated by a Pinole resident, Melissa Breach, who is the former executive director of the League of Women Voters. And so we have a link for you to register to access the meeting.
Yeah, and all on the tech end, I'll chime in and say that the registration link that I just posted signs you up for all of them. They're free, so you can tune in to whichever one sounds good to you. And it's in webinar format, so there's a really clean way for you to ask questions. And Melissa is a really exceptional moderator and a really smart human. So I think they're going to be great, and obviously come and support our fellow Rotarians who will be speaking with Melissa for those town halls. It's going to be great.
Thanks, everyone. And then Dawn, Sunday, March 28th, trash pickup. Do you have any location ideas or input on location?
Well, I was thinking more in the downtown area. Perhaps we'll meet at for instance, the senior center, but more on that prior to the date.
Terrific, thank you. So before Don kicks into his happy dollar time, does anybody else have any announcements? Maya, we're watching your boy roll all over the place. Man.
So I have an announcement.
Yes, Maureen.
The Pinole Police Department volunteer group will be doing a polar plunge for Special Olympics. They're going to be videotaping it, but if you wanted to, so far on the team is Matt Avery, and I just signed myself up. I'm not sure what I was thinking because it's going to be cold next week. But if you want to sponsor either one of us, or if any of you want to take a dip in the Pinole pool, pre-season means it's not heated. So I can send a link out to folks as far as that's concerned.
Maureen, may I suggest that you reply all to one of the group emails so that that information ends up in everybody's mailbox? So the chat links are tricky, but I'm too dumb to carry them over. So just in case anybody else is technically.
I'll do that.
Okay,
and
terrific.
the police department, like they've done previously on their cars, they I think for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they had one of the vehicles that had an emblem, and they're doing that too for the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics. So they will be unveiling it. I think most of it's going to be virtually, except for those people who will be taking the plunge.
Olympics is a wonderful, wonderful organization. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
We see Tommy's little T pop up in the corner. Hello, Tommy Welsh, if you're listening. Okay, Don P, go for it.
First of all, I'm doing this on my phone, so anybody who wants to respond to the point that I will be aware of it probably has to speak up, because if you raise your hand, I won't see it. So any birthdays or anniversaries to celebrate today?
Yvette's having a birthday.
I was hoping you wouldn't remember that.
I always remember my Pisces queens.
Well, Yvette, since Anna was the one who brought it up, would you like for her to sing your happy birthday to you?
Yes, I would.
Very good.
All
Anna.
right, friends, you got it. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Yvette. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, any other birthdays or anniversaries?
I have a birthday next week too.
Our Pisces
All right.
queens.
And your call, Jill, about the songmaster for yours.
Well, I mean, I like the original songmaster. I like Tom.
Very good. Tom?
Okay, here we go. Happy birthday, Jill.
I'm going to interrupt. I don't even recognize Tom. I think this is the first time I've seen you with your soft face back.
Well, you know, I was going to say I was not going to fine anybody for any particular thing and just leave it up to Happy Dollars, but I'm pretty sure Tom is going to get nicked for the shaving thing.
No, the check's in the mail. Really, Navneet. No, it's being mailed today.
Very good.
All right. Happy birthday, Jill. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jill. Happy birthday to you.
You guys.
President. Thank you. Thank you. Any other birthdays or anniversaries? Oh, and by the way, you happy birthday revelers, feel free to send your checks either by way of the regular post or in our Venmo account. Thank you very much. Any others to celebrate today? Okay, well then moving on. Would anybody like to say anything, make any comments in exchange for payment of some little bit of Happy Dollars?
I would like to.
Please.
I want to donate $20 because I am just so excited and becoming very emotional about how hopeful we're becoming about returning to some sort of normalcy. And I've just been crying over everything. So that's what I want to do. That's all.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll give $5. Just nice to see everyone.
Thanks, Tommy.
I'll give $15, 5 for each of my half German kids that I have running around here. So I maybe not half. I'm bad with math. Whatever, they have something in them. They're Oma, so they have some part of Germany in them. So I'll give 15 for that.
Thank you, Jamela.
I will also throw in some money for Tom and I for missing a few meetings.
Well, I'm going to throw in some money for that wonderful presentation that we had that was recommended by Doreen today, because frankly, I was blown away by all that.
Yeah.
And that's really something special. And to not forget those issues that have happened in our collective history is very important. Anywho, anyone else?
I'll do this. 17. Oh, sorry for all of us that are here, and I'm gonna go because this guy needs a change of scenery. So see you guys. Thanks for.
Is that the only change he needs?
Maybe we'll see. Bye.
Good.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Mason. Okay, I'm done. Thank you very much, all.
I have to tell you, this Venmo is pretty cool, Don. When you're doing your fining or happy dollaring, I sit next to the phone that every time somebody donates money, it sounds like an old-fashioned cash register. So everybody else doesn't get these sound effects, but anytime somebody pays, it goes cha-ching, cha-ching. So job well done, everyone.
I'm having trouble finding it again. It's under Pinole Rotary, right?
Mm-hmm.
At Pinole. I
Whoops.
Jamie, you're breaking up.
must be
Oop, there you are. You're back. Jamie, don't leave us.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask Jamie, she said she missed a few meetings. I wanted to find out where she was during those missed meetings, if she could hear me.
I think she's gone.
I think she's frozen.
She's gone forever.
I have to run, folks. We'll see ya.
Bye, Maureen.
Bye.
Well, I don't know. Should we just end it here? Maybe.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Yep. Looks like Jamie's really gone. So I guess next time, back up. Unless anyone has anything else to say.
Y'all have a good week.
Bye.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
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 See ya.